Good evening, my friends. Tonight I am here to talk to you about why I enjoy the Heisei series. More so than I ever did with the Showa series, and there is reason for that. For the Heisei series took a more serious approach than the original Showa era, except for the 1954 film. And the reason I appreciated the Heisei series because it was a direct sequel to the 1954 film. I was a child of the 80s and 90s where you could barely get any of the Heisei Godzilla films in America, and the ones that we did get were Godzilla 1984 and Godzilla vs. Biollante. After that, there was nothing. So if you were a Godzilla fan and you saw these films and you wanted to finish the saga, you had no chance. When 1998 came, I was excited and pleased with the fact that we received all the original films. The only thing that I did have complaints about was the dubbing. I saw Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2 in the original Japanese language with subtitles, and I was expecting that with the films that came, but unfortunately, this is when we had VHS. This was before DVD, this was before Blu-ray. All you had were VHS tapes, and it only came in one language, and that was it. When Columbia released the Toho Godzilla collection, I was so happy. I was so excited and thrilled because it had the original Japanese language and the English subtitles, and I could enjoy it in its native language. As a child, the dialogue always threw me off because it didn't quite match with the tone of the film. And I get it, it was a comedic effect and some people enjoyed it, but I wanted to see the movie in its original state, even if it was problematic, even if there were lines that didn't make any sense. I still wanted to see it. Something that was very prevalent in the original 1954 film is that we did not receive it until 2006. So we had the King of the Monsters edition with Raymond Burr. Although not bad, but it does stray heavily from the source material, changing a lot of moments and cutting some of the scenes with Ogata. One thing that I really enjoyed about the Heisei Godzilla series was how it tied to the 1954 film, and that they brought back Emiko Yamane for Godzilla vs. Destroyer. Now I want you all to know, my friends, that I do still enjoy the Showa films, for they do still have a place in my heart, for they were what introduced me to Godzilla. And Godzilla vs. Mothra, Godzilla vs. Hedorah, Terror of Mechagodzilla, Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla, Godzilla vs. Gigan, Destroy All Monsters. I love them. I love them deeply. But, like I said, the Heisei series just hits differently. This was known as the dark era of Godzilla, and the practical effects looked leagues better than they did during the 70s and 60s of the Showa period, giving Godzilla a more grim visage. The animalistic facial features, the 3 rows of teeth. I mean, this Godzilla is like a shark. Also, one thing that sets it apart from other Godzillas is the fact that this Godzilla has a soul. He feels pain, and you see the remorse and sorrow in his face when he sees Shindo, and when Biollante is destroyed. Unfortunately, that scene was taken out of the original cut of Godzilla vs. Biollante. She was not destroyed by Godzilla, but she faded into an ethereal form. And I mentioned this scene before, and it was cut out of the original Godzilla vs. Biollante. The scene where Godzilla has just been hit with the anti-nuclear bacteria and he falls into the ocean. He walks off and walks towards a hill, and the hill is surrounded with flowers everywhere. And you see Godzilla turn, he growls for a second, but then he stops, and you see tears come down from his eyes. In conclusion, my fascination with Heisei Godzilla revolved around 3 things: lack of distribution, primal bestial form, and a direct tie-in to the original 1954 Godzilla film. I believe these are all the interests, these are the reasons sparked by the Heisei Godzilla universe. And I welcome you to give it a shot yourself. But for me, it was different because, as I said, lack of distribution. There were very few of the movies that were released during the early 90s, and they were hard to come by. So, yeah, this is my retrospect on Heisei Godzilla and why I enjoy it. And thank you for listening. I hope you all have a wonderful evening, and I hope you all join the madness.